everybody. We are excited you are here to talk about bad managers. And The Devil Wears Prada 2 just came out this weekend. We are so excited. This was one of my favorite movies of all time. You know, Mark,
Really?
I don't know. Yes, that's all. I still use it all the time. Miranda, that's all. By all means, move at a glacial pace. So because of this great movie, our topic today is bad managers. This is kind of inspired us to talk about it. And so today you're going to learn some tips of how to deal with difficult managers and hopefully make your life a little better as a result. So welcome to Aren't You Tired Of podcast. We are here to discuss all the things that we're tired of. List is getting longer and longer, Mark.
Yeah,
and what we're going to do about them. That's the important thing. I'm Patti Johnson here with my co-host.
Hi, Mark Benton.
Mark Benton.
Yeah.
And we're so glad you're going to hang out with us today.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I did not know that Miranda was one of your spirit animals. Spirit
The movie.
humans.
Movie is one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
I wouldn't call her my spirit animal. She's got, yeah.
You're spirit human, huh?
No, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about that. But great movie.
It's funny because even outside of Miranda, you know, example of a horrendous manager, you know, if you've worked in, you know, any kind of setting where you have a boss or a manager, there's some not good ones out
Not
there.
good ones. And we just
Not
don't want it to
good
be
ones.
you.
Yeah,
We don't want it to be you.
hopefully it's not you.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's the main thing. Hopefully it's not us. We haven't been one of these culprits we're going to talk about.
Exactly. And when you think about managers, we want you to think about there are managers everywhere. Everywhere groups are gathering and trying to do something, right? So whether it's your nonprofit, it's your community service group, it's in the office,
Yeah.
wherever you are, we're talking about all those managers. And if you are a consultant or a coach, you're dealing with managers all day long. So this special little species is what we're going to dive into today and try to really focus on the difficult ones.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Patti and I, when we were getting prepped for this topic, we talked about some of the most common and challenging manager types we've experienced and seen in action. You know, we've coached them. We've helped other people learn how to handle them. But it's never been us.
Never us.
Never
No,
been us.
would never.
Right?
Would never be us.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, as Mark and I were kind of creating these profiles, sadly, we had to cut some off because we had too many, right?
Yeah.
But
the list kept coming.
the list kept coming.
Yeah.
So what we want to do first is we are going to find out who are these top profiles. Mark and I are each going to kind of describe them. We're not going to talk about yet what to do with them, how you manage them, how you build that confidence and relationship. But first, who are they? We're going to describe them first and then go back to them. I'm going to start off, since we're talking about Devil Wears Prada 2, we'll start off with Miranda, the moody bully. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's it going to be today? She's mad, frustrated, and moody, and she uses that unpredictability to keep you off balance and uncertain. That's her whole thing. Control, she's never happy. Never good enough.
Yep. That's
her power play.
That's that one. How about let's call this one Mike, the micromanager. If I'm Mike, the micromanager, I'm gonna need to be involved in anything and everything you do.
Yeah.
Right? I'm on you. I'm like, you know, the evil eye, watching everything you do.
Yes, Mike's on it. Chrissy, the credit taker. That's number 3. Chrissy, you're not going to outshine me. I'm the star, everyone. Step back. Stay off the stage. It's all about me.
Okay. How about this one? Caroline, the conflict avoider, right? Caroline is weaving and bobbing and, you know, like juking. You know, she's doing all the things. She delays on decisions. She can't have a talk straight conversation. She's not going to really say what she thinks. So, yeah.
Okay. Cam the clueless, but he's all in. He is all in your business, has no clue what's going on, no interest in learning, but that does not keep him from giving you lots of direction. That's almost always wrong.
All right. And then here's the last one. We'll call this one Harry the historian. All right. Harry, not going to change. Nope. Convinced how it works. Been there, done that. Stuck in the past. Won't move forward. Won't change anything. Everything is working great just as it is today.
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. Don't touch my stuff.
All right. Let's dive into each of these. And most importantly, talk about how do you manage them? How do you deal with them? How do you sleep at night if you're working for any one of these people?
Right.
So we're going to start with Miranda the Moody Bully.
Yeah.
Okay. Inspired by Miranda Priestly. The core driver here with Miranda is intimidation to keep you off balance. So that desire for control. That's what runs her engine. So she's unpredictable. She can be pretty sarcastic and belittling, and she might use some public criticism. She might call you out.
Might.
She probably will.
Will.
And unrealistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, you hit the bar right here. I'm going to raise it a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So have you worked for a Miranda?
Yeah. Sadly enough, I've worked for a Miranda and a Mirando. So I've worked for both.
Me too.
And, you know, the thing I remember the first time I watched the first Devil Wears Prada movie, there were times when I would watch the games that Meryl Streep's character would play in Miranda Priestly, and I had a little bit of PTSD.
Yeah, it'd give you a little bit of a twitch.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, like the character, I think her name is Andy or something.
Yeah. Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, where she's running to get the coffee, and then there's another impossible situation and another impossible situation. I just was like, this is a bit.
And it's set up that way, right? That's exactly the way Miranda the Moody Bully wants it. So what do you do? How do you deal with that? That's where we really want to focus to. If you're dealing with that, I have, like Mark, I have had a Miranda and a Mirando, both.
Yeah.
And I will say the biggest thing that helped me is asking other people, tell me how to, you don't have to be out, trash talking. Just tell me how you worked with this person. You seem to have had been successful.
Yeah.
Give me your tips. And one of the things I learned is never meet with them on Monday. Never on Monday, because that's when the stress level is the highest.
Wow.
The goals are the highest. Don't go near them on Monday if you can avoid it. Never mornings. Not good to meet with them in the mornings, afternoon. So I started scheduling my check-ins Fridays, midday. Okay. End of the week, middle of the day.
Okay.
So I learned a lot of tips about their ways of how they operate. That helped me a lot. The other thing I think is really important, you can't lose yourself with a Miranda, which is easy to do.
Yeah.
You've got to stay calm. Do not mirror her energy. Because that's what she wants, right? So you've got to say, I'm going to stay true to myself.
Because I wonder, when you mirror the energy, they got you.
They got you, and they're going to keep you on, so once they kind of figure out, I'm going to stay calm, I'm doing my best, I care a lot about my work, but you've got to keep that calm. You're not going to win emotionally. You're going to win through competence, through being on your game, and you got to be who you are. The other thing that was the hardest for me is you're never going to get the great job, Mark. So good. Sometimes the best you're going to get is nothing. That means, okay, you might get a nod.
Yeah.
You might get no feedback, which means it was okay.
Yeah.
So you're never, you can't expect it, because Miranda, the Miranda is not ever going to be that person for you. So you got to have realistic expectations about how it's going to work.
Yeah. One thing I would add on that one is you will also need to make sure that you talked about being very competent in your job.
For sure.
Knowing what is expected of me. And I think also with, this Mirando character, you need to also observe how they operate.
Yeah.
Not that, you need to be your authentic self, not that you want to become them. But what I think you want to look at is, I see how you have to be a big studier and observer of how they show up and how they work the room, how they handle the meeting. Do it in your own unique way.
Yeah.
But observe how they win and then determine what of that, is appropriate for you to emulate, maybe.
Yeah. And one other comment before we talk about Mike, the micromanager. I do think the Miranda manager can be the hardest on your stress level because she's always looking to crank it up. It's never good enough. Nothing's right.
Yeah.
And so you have to really work on staying clear and focused of, I know what good, like you said, competent. I know what competent looks like. I know what a good job looks like. And not mirror, because if you do, these kinds of managers,
Yeah.
I think, can maybe be the most stressful.
They will take you out.
Take you out.
Like, and when I say that, I mean, one thing that we know is you may be working for a type like this and you're just for fear of your job because you're like, I don't know if I'm meeting expectations. So that's one thing I think a listener that's experienced this manager may be dealing with.
Exactly. I think of all the ones we're talking about, this one can be the one you have to really work on your stress, staying centered. So anyway, we can talk about Mike.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we have our next bad manager type, and that's Mike, the micromanager. So remember, we talked about, their core driver is about it's about control too. It's a loss of there's a theme here. It's about loss of control. So some managers micromanage because they have trust issues. They can't give up the trust. They have to be in control. But the other thing to know about this one is they may not trust themselves. And that could also be going on there. I know how to do your work. I know how to do my own work. And I need to control it. I need to manage it. So, one of the things that, is they won't delegate. They're constantly checking in on you, asking where you are. It's almost like they don't have a realistic understanding of, give me some time to do the work, kind of a thing. So a couple of things to think about for this type is, you have to think about giving updates and information before they ask. Anticipate what they're going to be asking. So when you sit down with, the micromanager, you want to really kind of get in a habit of understanding, okay, this is the job to be done, and then start planning your check-ins and almost contract with them to say, okay, so, when's the deadline on all of this work, this project, this community thing we're doing together, this, work thing. And here's the timeline for check-ins.
You're almost saying over-communicate.
Yeah, you are. You're over-communicating. I think that's a great point. So set those regularly scheduled check-ins and then sending frequent updates, status reports, those kinds of things that keep that individual, that micromanager, informed and aware of what's going on. Because remember, at the core, it's about control and it's about managing how things come. And the micromanager, also think about it, I'll use this term, there's a lot of impression management going on, meaning that they are concerned about how the work looks, how it represents them. And so you have to always remember to balance that. First of all, I want to represent myself well as an employee or as a person on committee or whatever it is. But the person in charge, the manager and, the decision maker, the one that kind of holds the control, you want to make sure that you're setting them up for success without killing yourself.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Good point. I also wonder, as you're talking, I'm thinking, Mark, sometimes the micromanager also is all up in your business because they don't know how to do their own role. And maybe they used to do your job and they know your job.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily know how to step up to that next level.
Yeah.
So there could be, sometimes knowing why helps, sometimes it doesn't. But I think your point is just communicate the heck out of it.
Well, I would tell you, I think getting context and observing and knowing why, I think it always helps.
Yeah.
I think you always should.
It helps me.
Well, it helps me too, but I would tell, someone who's listening, observe. What is this really about?
What's going on?
Ask others, people that, you're truth tellers and you're trusted people in whatever the environment is. Hey, tell me about working with this person. What else do you know about them? Get the intel so that you know your game plan.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we were talking about the next one.
Yeah.
Chrissy, the credit taker.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to give you an example. I don't know if anybody listening watches Abbott Elementary.
Oh, I love
I haven't seen them all, but there are some great characters on there. And the principal, she is like the model example of the credit taker. In fact, the one thing when we were talking about this profile person, I can remember when the teachers all came to her with this big recommendation of, we've got to get some funding for some classroom supplies.
Yes.
We need them.
Yes.
And so she comes back and she's all proud and says, I got the $3,000. They're applauding. That's great. They're all excited about the supplies. And then she goes on to say, and I got my hair redone. She said, I have found you fix the inside first and the outside takes care of it. Then, she not only did she have her hair done and was looking, she was so proud of it. She then unveils this sign, this huge sign of the Abbott Elementary School with her on it. Yes. So this is what we're talking about here is Chrissy. It's all about her. Right? Everybody else is just minor. They're extras in her movie. But this person is out there, and it's pretty common, actually. And so I think the core fear of Chrissy, not looking important enough, driven by individual public success. So what you're dealing with a Chrissy's going to take all the credit.
Yeah.
Okay? In the meetings, I did great. Mark, if something went wrong, you probably did it. So,
if there was a problem or something didn't
pretty sure it was you.
It was you.
I'm pretty sure it was you because it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It's
so
your fault.
That's Chrissy.
Yeah.
It's all I, very little we.
Yeah.
And she will slow down your advancement and progress if it works to her benefit. So I think that person is out there. I can picture a few faces come into mind.
Yeah.
But so what do you do?
Yeah.
So here is, you can't be in the room alone with Chrissy. And that's a simple way of saying you cannot depend on Chrissy for your career, for your, even your making sure your performance is evaluated. You've got to share with others. Okay. You've got to have other people. You have other mentors, advisors. If you're on committees and stuff outside work, it's always best just have other people where you're sharing what's going on, share your successes publicly. Now, you don't need to diss Chrissy, give her credit, but also give yourself some credit because you cannot rely on this person because what do we know about Chrissy? Chrissy's going to make it work for her. Yeah. Okay. It's all about her. She wants the public acknowledgement and success at any benefit, even if she spends the school money on hair and a billboard,
hair on a billboard that she's on the front of.
So, so she's one where you just need you cannot rely on her. You have to help make sure you have a good little network, other people involved. You can't go solo with Chrissy.
Yeah, you can't.
No.
Okay. So that was Chrissy. Now let's talk about Carolyn, the conflict avoider.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So remember, Carolyn, avoiding conflict, it's about, not really ever wanting to be wrong, making a visible mistake, right? So they're always playing it super safe, super safe. And so they delay decisions, which can be so frustrating. If you're a higher level manager or you are, Carolyn's manager or, if you're Carolyn's HR partner, Carolyn won't address poor performance on the team.
Not gonna.
Or on the project. Just won't. Might avoid it. Won't do any of the things. Just kind of let it ride. Won't have the conversation. Allows tensions and problems to just continue to rise. Won't say it publicly, but will say it privately. Okay, we all have worked or might know of this conflict avoidant, manager. So let's talk about some things to combat that.
For sure.
Okay, so here we go. Here's one. Bring solutions and recommendations. So for the conflict avoider, what you're trying to help them do is land the plane.
Yes.
Get to a decision, help them decide, make those incremental steps so that they don't delay on a decision. Or if we can't make the full decision, can we at least move this far in? You want to think about that. You want to ask questions. You want to create situations for Carolyn that help Carolyn, the conflict avoider, to win, to have the win.
As you're talking, one thing, Mark, that I think that I've seen is if you can say to Carolyn, bossy boss is in full support of doing something like this. And in fact, in another meeting, she was talking about her goals being really aligned with this. Because all of a sudden what you've done, that'd be a really simple explanation, but all of a sudden what you've done is you've offered a little air cover, which is what she's looking for.
That's right. That's right. Also, when you bring solutions or decisions, it's helpful to kind of use, don't say this publicly, listeners, just between us friends here when I say this, use the toddler approach, A or B.
Right. You want a
dinosaur, or do you want Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do you want to play with? We only take one toy.
But it's your decision.
Yeah, it's your decision. You got to make the decision. But find ways to help them make decisions, right? And then what you got to remember is be thinking ahead for the conflict avoider around consequences and where might there be pitfalls. Help them to break those consequences and risks possibly down into smaller pieces.
Right.
We talked in a previous episode where we were talking about navigating change, about what can you control and what can you not control. And so sometimes the conflict avoider around certain situations is worried about too many things, right? And the wrong things.
For sure.
And so how can you help them kind of break it down into what can we control, what can't we control? And then sometimes, provided that Carolyn, the conflict avoider, might not also be a micromanager,
then you got a deadly company.
then you got a lethal.
It's lethal.
Double hurt.
Oh. But
provided that's not who is not both combined in one person, then also what you can do is say, hey, Carolyn, what can I take off your plate? What decision rights do I have? Could I make this decision for us?
Right.
Give me your opinions and thoughts.
She might let you hang out to dry if you make the wrong one.
Maybe.
But you still want it.
But bring your allies.
Yeah.
Bring your allies to help you get through it, and then that can help you with that conflict.
The other thing I'm wondering too, Mark, on the Carolyn, I think for those people that are picturing kind of this passive little mouse that can't make a decision.
Not necessarily.
There can be some very savvy people that would be that same conflict avoider. Mark, this is really interesting. I'd like you to look more do a little bit more research on this. So there are people who are very, very good at this and very good at masking this, but you still use the same techniques that you're talking about. But they just don't all show up as just sitting in the corner going, I don't know what to do.
Not mousy. Not that.
No.
Because actually, now that you think about it, I think about people in my life that are actually brilliant.
Yes.
And very assertive and strong personalities, effective, just avoid conflict like, like it's a vegetable you don't like. Name the vegetable, Brussels sprouts. Yeah. They will avoid it, you know.
Make those taste pretty good if you add a lot of stuff to them, though, by the way.
I don't know. Anyway, I really don't know about the Brussels sprouts.
You don't think there's no hope?
I don't think there's hope. No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Should we talk about Cam the Clueless?
Cam the Clueless. Yeah.
Cam is clueless, but that doesn't slow him down.
Yeah.
He is in the middle of everything. And my mental example, Michael Scott from The Office.
Oh.
There are more examples of this than I can even bring today.
Yes.
He,
Yep.
DEI Day, Diversity Day, nightmare, okay? As like one of the classic ones.
Oh,
Michael, remember? Oh, I can't even talk about it.
Yeah. It was cringe.
It was cringe. Horrible. Yeah. Created the Dundee Awards. Can't name all the categories he had, but it included whitest sneakers and the award for Don't Go In There After Me. Handing that out. We're going to let that sit. And there are others. But Michael was in the middle of everything. And if you watch The Office, which, my whole family is obsessed with The Office.
I was just listening to Steve Carell, the character. I was listening to him on a podcast, and he was talking about Michael. And he's like, Michael, he said, Michael's clueless. He said, but he wanted him to be lovable.
Yes.
A lovable, clueless dude, always trying.
Always trying, and trying a lot, to the point everybody was like, please stop.
Yes.
And, his fear, being exposed, blamed, or shamed, operating way beyond their competence, but compensating with involvement.
That's right.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to be super involved.
That's right.
Which has to help, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. So Michael is a caricature. So it's funny. He's funny to laugh about, but I have worked with a Cam or two. Yeah. And that is, you're kind of going, they think they know your area of work, but they're not learning anything, right? They're not learning anything. They think they already understand. They give direction that just can't work and inaccurately assess the situation. Yeah. So what are you going to do? You got somebody that you're working with, and this might not be a direct boss. It might be the chairman of the committee and the community service group that's like, that's not going to work. So what do you do?
This may be somebody it may not be even, like you said, a boss or a manager. It could be a peer.
It could be.
That still impacts your ability to get things done.
That is correct.
That's frustrating. So,
right. So you have to like figure out how can I involve Cam in the lowest risk way. So I always think of it as here's all the stuff we're dealing with. Where are we going to zero in Cam?
Yeah.
We got to pull Cam in, right?
Yeah.
Because Cam, this is a low risk area. Encourage Cam to learn by coming to a meeting or two. Low risk meeting.
Yeah, Cam,
Low risk.
I need you to come to the meeting, but I need you not to speak or say anything.
Cam, speak when spoken to.
Yeah.
Cam. But, again, low risk.
Mm-hmm.
I think you want to avoid revealing all his knowledge gaps because Cam can get defensive on you, but provide some contained authority.
Yeah.
Target. Yeah. How can I reduce the threat that he is bringing in this situation? Not how can I block him out? Because we know the more you try to block him out, what's Cam going to do? He's
going to come on in with his cluelessness.
He's going to come in at full speed.
Yeah, hard.
He's coming in hard because you're trying to block me out.
Right.
And I need to be in there.
I need for my cluelessness to be in this. So you're trying to figure out where can I involve Cam that it is going to be productive, or where maybe there's an area where he knows more about than the other, but it's going to take a strategy and targeting. I think so. But I also wonder if there's, Cam, why don't I just take this?
Maybe.
I mean, think about that in your given situation, listener, if you have to deal with a Cam that's clueless, that, Cam, I got this. Oh, how about I update you later? Because sometimes, I guess what I'm speaking to is sometimes Cam didn't want to be there anyway.
He doesn't want to be there. But maybe, I love the one thing you're bringing up too. It could be, let me take this, and how about you and I share it out together? How about we share this together? Meanwhile.
Well, see, you're kinder than me. Because I would be like, if I did it, if I did it,
yes,
I'm gonna own it.
Yeah. Well, I that's my tendency too.
Right.
But if you're playing the long game and he's going to be there a while, you might figure out, okay, how can I let him, quote, be a leader, owner of this area, broader area, but you want him out of your hair, basically, because you need to be able to make some decisions.
You need to be able to move.
You need to be able to move.
Move at pace.
Yeah. This one's a tricky one. That one's a tricky one.
It can be.
It can be. Can we talk about Harry?
Well, Harry, the historian, Harriet is smart.
Could be.
Smart. Let's assume. I had a leader one time that told me, and this was nice, and it was shade, but he said, Mark, he said, everybody's smart.
Are they?
Wait a minute.
But are they?
He said, everybody's smart. And what he was saying is, you may be smart at coloring. You may be smart at cutting onions.
But not blocks.
But you may be smart at cutting onions. But so he was being nice, but it was shade. Mm-hmm. He was like, oh, everybody's smart.
Yeah. We could talk about that.
Harry the historian, Harry's smart. Harriet is smart. Okay, but they'll politely shut down an idea if it doesn't align to the past. Hey, we did that and it didn't work. They use data and information as a weapon. And usually it's not data and information to move something forward. It's data and information of why it won't work.
Oh, for sure.
Why
I don't want to change it.
Right. I don't want to change it. They resist change. Mm-hmm. They are, a saboteur, to certain projects and things. They'll slow things down, and they're just not willing to learn and move forward. So, I think some strategies, and I was trying to think about a Harry the historian, like a character or somebody, because I don't want to say names of people that, I kind of know in the natural, in the wild.
In the wild, we don't want to go there.
But wouldn't do that. But I can't think of one right now. But, some strategies to work through Harriet or Harry, the historian, is, base any change, on about how we get to prior success. So, hey, at that point in time, we were upgrading, changing, getting more effective or better, and it wasn't that way before, and we had to move it forward. So what worked then, and what could work and apply now? So, help bring them forward by using lessons from the past to move forward. That can help. Center your communication on incremental improvement. So, listeners, what we're saying around that one is, break it down small. Like I use this analogy sometimes with leaders. You want to get someone to do something differently, but you don't necessarily want them to know that you've done the change. So I say you can go and put the spinach in the brownie.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
there was this foodie she was like a celebrity chef or something, and she was trying to get her kids to eat more vegetables. And so she said, I just put the vegetables in the dessert.
Hey, that's genius.
Right. So she said, I put the spinach in the brownie. So I've used that analogy to say, sometimes people these brownies are delicious.
Yes.
And I'm like, and they have spinach in them.
Yeah.
You know, my kids, I love these brownies. And there's zucchini in there too, right? So that's what you have to do with this historian. You have to, here's the situation. And, you know, you don't want to keep things from them, because if they're in a place of, you know, having sway and control over your career, you don't want to do that. But how can you move things along, you know, in little incremental ways and experiment and small test and then check back in? Hey, was that so bad? That was great.
Yes.
You know, reward the historian when you see them moving forward.
Yeah. And
that's
like
super important.
Baby steps. It's okay. Get them to, because they're afraid of change, basically, right? Give them a baby step, something they can say yes to.
Yep. I think that's right. And I think if you have, you know, here's what we have to accomplish, here's the goals or whatever, you know, use and build in those little incremental wins into those goals.
Big time.
That's important.
Big time.
Yeah.
So we've talked about some of our favorites. We thought of at least 3 or 4 more, but we didn't have time, right? We didn't want to narrow it down here.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of kind of bringing this landing and, you know, what do we do about this? One thing I want to say, you're going to notice that, well, how many times did Mark and I say fear of looking bad, loss of control, not looking important enough? So all of those, you're dealing with some deep-seated issues, right? These habits are based on kind of what is really going on here.
They really are.
However, our advice is to take a step back. Are you interacting with that person really differently than everybody else? If Mark is micromanaging only me, okay, he's okay. He's got some concerns about my work.
Preach and teach, Patty.
He's doing it, right? And say, wait a minute, he's only Mike, the micromanager, is only micing it up with me. So that means. I got an issue here.
Yeah, he's managing the micros with me.
With me.
Yeah.
Maybe have I had some problems with errors in the past? Am I brand new? Yeah. What's going on there? It's got to figure out, is it different for me than everybody else?
Well, here's the thing that you're saying, and I think I've said this before, listener, in any of these situations with any of these people, self-awareness is the greatest gift you can give yourself.
For sure.
So if you're self-aware truly, then it will help you to figure out, you know, how you have to respond and manage and get in there.
Yeah. So I think that is super important. That is like, is it, am I any way a contributor to this? The other thing I will say about Mike, their micromanager, if you are, hey, I'm doing my own thing, I'm out there and Mike has no idea what you're doing, you are also serving it up on a platter. You know, he's going to be
contributing to the
you're
problem.
Contributing. So I think you've got to have that awareness. And the other thing is be the researcher. Get the facts. What's going on in this situation? Because I think that makes a difference sometimes with people.
It always makes a difference. And I think to your point, the thing I would also add is most managers, most leaders, people responsible for delivering something or making sure something lands the right way, they're like all of us. They might be behaving differently because they're stressed. Or there's something going on. And this is not normally how they always are. So, you know, when you said kind of do your research, get the facts, look at the bigger picture. It could just be, this is a snapshot in time. Now, it might be a long snapshot in time, but what's going on? Because any of these characters can have their best day. You know, they can have their best day, but I always tell people that I work with, and I'll say this doesn't just apply in work, but also outside of work, that we all have towering strengths. I'll go back to what that man, everybody's smart. Everybody's smart. We all have these superpowers, these abilities, but when we're stressed or pressed or fatigued, or there's a certain situation, these abilities, when overplayed, because that's how we've learned to win, and these abilities become liabilities.
For sure. And am I brand new in my job? Do I have a brand new manager? Did we just reorganize? And all of a sudden, I thought I knew I had sure footing, and now what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So those are things that might pass. They could be situational. Maybe it'll get better.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Anyway,
I agree. So I was going to say, as we think about these bad managers, these characters, we've talked about some of the strategies. I'm interested, Patti, in what your takeaway is here. What's kind of your biggest learning that you would want listeners to take away?
Right. I think do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
We've said that multiple times on all these people. Make sure you get some data, get some facts.
Yeah.
I also think stay calm and objective. I do think it's really, do not lose yourself as you have a difficult manager. You got to stay true to yourself, stay confident. And, you and I have talked about this before, Mark. If it is unbearable and this isn't going to change, you got to decide, am I in the right place?
That's a key point.
And that's why when you're talking about, is it situational? Is this going to get better? Yeah. Or is this person here for the long haul? And I got to figure out, can I be successful? You cannot lose yourself trying to fix someone else because you're just not going to be able to do it.
That's right.
Know?
That's right. And I'll piggyback off of your key takeaway for listeners. Mine is take care of yourself.
For sure.
So I've worked in situations where I've actually had a leader that was a couple of these, all pulled together. And I remember those times that they were very taxing on me. And I was at a point in my career where I didn't have a lot of, as we use the term now, agency. Mm-hmm. That's my manager. They're responsible for my career and my progression and what I do next and where I go. And so I didn't really know what to do. But as I look back now Mark would tell then Mark, you could have taken care of yourself better. You could have maybe set different boundaries, made different decisions. So right now, listener, if you're in that situation, my one thing I'd want you to take away is, how are you taking care of yourself? Right. Are you taking your personal time off? Are you putting boundaries around your weekends? And, I work from this time to this time. This is important. Set those boundaries. And to your point, Patti, I would say that decide if it's the place for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Decide, because that's important.
Right. And if you decide it is, you just figure, I'm going to deal with this. This too shall pass. Most managers, you don't stay in a role forever. They don't stay in a role forever.
That's true.
I'm going to manage my way through it. And I'm not going to let it keep me up at nights. Right. And that's harder sometimes to do than not. But we hope we have given you some tips to work with, because there are some pesky managers out there.
There are some characters,
there are. And so we hope, if you have one, we wish you didn't. But if you did, we hope this gives you some ideas. We hope that if you saw yourself in any of these, might be time for a little self-reflection, a little team input if you need it. And also, please share if you have any friends that are out there that, when you're having drinks on Friday night, they have got some stories. Please share this with them. Subscribe to us on Apple or Spotify. Follow us on Instagram, aren't you tired of _social. And give us suggestions. We've had some great ones coming in. Suggestions, questions, DM us on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. You can also email us at podcast
We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you when we do that.
Have a great week, everyone. And we hope you're not dealing with it.
We hope.
We hope.
We hope.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you all.
Take care. Bye.